Hi, Brian. Just wanted to ask you about a couple of offensive linemen. I know you can't judge players as rookies on a scale. You just judge how they play. How do you think Austin has played overall, and what Ted has given you this year at center? Just your thoughts on him as well, please.
I think Ted's given us leadership. I think he's given us good play. I think he's played, some good football. And I think he's improved over the course of the year. Same for Austin. I think he's improved over the course of the year. Was out for a little bit, fought his way back. So that's, showed some mental, physical toughness, getting through that. And then, again, I think he's improved and developed over the course of the season.
Al?
Brian, we're seeing the forecast now saying 1 to 3 inches of snow on Sunday. How much of an impact might that have on your game plan and the way the game is called?
The elements are what they are. So, I don't see it having much of an impact. Played and coached in snow before, so 1 to 3 should be okay there as far as play calling and things of that nature. I don't see it being that big of a different an issue, to be honest with you.
Cam?
Hey, good morning, Flo. It's the last day of what's probably been a difficult year for a lot of folks. What will you take most out of 2020, the year as a coach and as a man?
2020's been an interesting year. A lot has gone on with the pandemic and things like the George Floyd and Matt Arbery and things like that. So it's been difficult for a lot of people. A lot of people, in the country, around the world. On the bright side, which I like to look at that. That time with when we were in lockdown, I got to spend a lot of time with my wife, my kids. So that was good, really good. I think we learned, about making sacrifices and not seeing your family and, things like that. And that with Thanksgiving and Christmas, for us as a team, I know that may not be the case for everyone, but from 2020, there was a lot of things that were difficult, but that time in March and April and May where really everyone was locked down and I would normally be, and all our coaches would normally be on the road doing draft, this or that. I was with my wife and kids. I thought the draft was a lot of fun. My kids can't wait for the draft next year. So, you could sit here and talk about how, bad everything was, but there was some good, a lot of good also from a family standpoint. And I think the growth of this team, obviously I'm happy with that, but still trying to improve and develop like we always are.
Adam?
Hey, Flo, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you told us growing up you were a Giants fan, obviously being from New York, that would make sense. I was curious, when you were young, did you understand the significance of Marino and Kelly and that rivalry, Bills, Dolphins in the early 90s? And since you've been a coach, what more have you learned about how important this game is to a lot of the alumni and the fans?
I know the rivalry. I know it well. I think every game is important to the fans on both sides. Obviously, this is a division game, but the Dolphins fans, the Bills fans. These are diehard fans who root for their teams through thick and thin. So every game is important, and this one's no different. But there's a lot of great players, over the years on both sides. I'm just, I'm humbled and honored to be a part of it.
Stop it.
Hey, Flo, good morning and Happy New Year, or Happy New Year Eve. You spoke about the draft just a second ago, and the first round pick from Houston has the potential to be either number 3 or number 4. I know the draft's a couple months away, but just the thoughts on having such a high draft pick, or potentially having such a high draft pick.
I talked about my kids enjoying the drafts. Look, I let Chris and the personnel staff handle, that stuff. I mean, I know you want to take what I said about my 6 and 7 year old and turn it into a, draft question, but yeah, I'm focused on the Bills. I mean, we were reflecting on my family and the 2020 year, not the draft. Chris and Brandon, you guys, whenever you get Chris on one of these Zooms, you can talk to him about, that stuff. But I'm focused on the Bills.
Steve?
Brian, road teams have won almost exactly half the games in the league this year. Now that we're deep into the season and the intensity is ratcheting up, what are your thoughts about the effects that the pandemic and few or no fans has had on home field advantage?
I mean, it's still tough to win on the road, especially against a good team like this. I'm not sure, every year is a little bit different. This year, the elements on the road, I mean, there's still elements that make it difficult. The number one element being the team across from us. Everyone's got good players, good coaches. Again, 2020 is a little bit different in that I guess you don't feel the effects of the crowd noise as you have in other years, but there's still the strengths of the other team that are still issues. The coaches and the adjustments they make. And I guess that's kind of I would say it's not. I don't feel like it's easier. If that's to answer your question, it's still hard. It's still hard to win in this league. It's still hard to execute, especially when they got good players over there. It certainly doesn't feel easier. I mean, if that answers your question, and I'm not sure what the numbers are on. I mean, I know you just said 50%, but it certainly doesn't feel easy to win on the road.
Time for 2 more. Adam?
We've asked Chan over the last couple of weeks about his future, and obviously this is not the time to address that. I understand, but I just wanted to get your thinking behind when you hired a 68-year-old offensive coordinator, there will be questions about his longevity, obviously here. What was your plan at the time, and has that changed?
So when you say this is not the time to ask this, and then ask it, I'm just trying to go through that. I think Chan's focused on the Bills, just like we're all focused on the Bills. And that's where I want his focus and energy. So I'll leave it at that.
All right, final question, Omar.
Yesterday, you said you're quite familiar with Brian Daboll in terms of his play calling. I'm assuming that's from your history with him in New England. What has made him effective in his stint in Buffalo as a play caller?
Well, I wouldn't say I'm familiar with him as a play caller. I'm familiar with him as an offensive mind. I think part of that, part of his being a good player is that I don't know what he's going to call. I think he's done a phenomenal job there with Allen in that offense. I think he's got a lot up his sleeve. I mean, and he and I have had many conversations, offensively, defensively. You do this, I'm doing that. You do that, I'm doing this, and you see it all kind of coming to fruition in the way they play. So a lot of respect for him, and I certainly don't know what he's going to call, and that's what makes him good. He mixes the run, the pass, the shots, screens. I mean, he's got every element to the offense, and they got good players, and they execute. He's a damn good coach. And so is Sean, and so is Leslie. So is Heath Farwell. I mean, they have great coaches there, and they've done a good job, a really good job coaching those guys up, and they got talented roster as well. So put all that together, and you have what you have, which is a very good team. But Dave Ball's a good friend of mine, a great friend of mine. I would say he's someone I have a lot of respect for, and but we're going to compete on Sunday, and I know he'll have some bullets in his gun. I know that.